Power is weird. It's everywhere. It shapes elections, workplaces, wars, and also who gets to pick the restaurant on a Friday night. We talk about it like it's this big dangerous thing. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. But also, if we are honest, we kind of want it, not in a start a dictatorship way, I hope, but in small sneaky ways. Like, why does it feel so good when someone asks for your advice? Or why do we secretly love being in charge of the group chat? And then there are the people who want all of it. The billionaires, the dictators, the office guy who keeps forwarding your emails back to you with "per my last message." These are the power maximalists. The ones who don't just want a seat at the table, they want to own the table, sell it, and then build a taller one. So yeah, we talk about power like it's this abstract political thing, but the truth is, we all feel its pull. The question isn't if you want power, it's why. Power doesn't come out of nowhere. It's not like someone wakes up one day and thinks, I'm going to build a media empire and slowly alienate all my friends. Well, not usually. More often it starts with something much smaller, something human, a feeling of not being seen, not being heard, of being stuck at the kids' table, metaphorically or literally. The psychologist Alfred Adler believed that the drive for power comes from a sense of inferiority, not in a judgmental way, more like we all feel small sometimes and so we want to feel big by gaining control, significance, and a voice. And then there is Maslow, the guy with the triangle. His hierarchy of needs says we don't chase power for power's sake, we chase it to feel safe, to be respected, to matter. In that sense, seeking power is kind of like putting an emotional armor, which explains why some people collect titles like their Pokemon cards. So no, most people don't crave power because they're evil masterminds. They crave it because for a moment it feels like finally you are not invisible anymore. Okay, so psychologists tell us power starts with insecurity. That tracks. But what if the desire for power is something bigger than a childhood inferiority complex or your boss ignoring your emails? What if it's baked into human nature? Philosophers, the kind of people who overthink for a living, they've seen power differently. Not as a problem, but as a principle, like gravity. Something deep, something unavoidable. Let's start with Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher who, let's say, wasn't such a chill guy. He didn't think we wanted power to feel safe or validated. He thought we wanted it because we are alive. Period. Nietzsche believed that underneath all our actions, beneath morality, religion, love, even reason, was one thing: the will to power, a drive to expand, assert, express, to shape the world according to your will. He called it the fundamental force of life. Basically, humans don't just want to survive, they want to matter, to push outward, to leave a mark. Nietzsche wasn't saying power is about crushing people, he actually criticized that. The real will to power, to him, was creative, building art, shaping ideas, becoming more than what you were. In other words, power doesn't have to mean domination, it can mean transformation. And then there is Bertrand Russell, who came along in 1930s and politely disagreed with all of that and said, no, actually we just want power because we are kind of addicted to it. In his book Power, A New Social Analysis, he said the desire for power is just as basic as hunger or sex, like primal level stuff. And according to Russell, it explains almost everything, from empire building to marriage arguments to why your roommate won't take out the trash. It's all power dynamics. Russell also had this great observation: people don't all want power in the same way. Some want it to lead, others to protect, some want power to help, others want it to feel less small. Same drive, different flavors. So here is the thing: power isn't always about control. Sometimes it's about agency, expression, freedom, even survival. Maybe we are built to pursue it. The question now isn't whether we seek it, it's what do we do with it once we have it? Okay, so by now we've established that power isn't just for dictators or Marvel villains. It's something everyone reaches for, to matter, to protect, to express. But here is where it gets interesting. Power isn't just one thing. It comes in different shapes, some visible, some quiet, some that don't even look like power, until you realize you are on the receiving end of it. Let's start with the obvious one: social power. This is what most people think of: influence over others, leading, convincing, telling people what to do at work and somehow getting them to say thank you for it. This is the realm of politicians, managers, influencers, and your friend who somehow always picks the Airbnb. Then there is structural power, and this one's sneakier. It's not about who makes the rules, it's about who the rules are made for. Think about laws, access, algorithms. This is the kind of power you don't see until it doesn't work for you. Third, we've got personal power. This is about self-mastery, knowing who you are, setting boundaries, making choices that aren't based on fear. It's quieter, less flashy, but weirdly, it might be the most lasting kind, because it's the only form of power that doesn't need permission. There's also covert power, which sounds like a spy thriller but really just means manipulation, influence without visibility. This is power through omission, silence, design, like how tech apps shape your attention without you realizing it, or how someone in a group uses silence as a weapon. And let's be honest, some people wield this like a Jedi mind trick, others just call it being passive aggressive. Now here is the thing, none of these forms of power are always good or bad. Power is a tool. What matters is how it's used and why it's wanted. One person uses social power to inspire change, another uses it to build a cult. Same tool, very different outcomes. So if someone says power corrupts, you can now ask which kind, because the truth is power isn't just about control, it's about choice. And the more aware you are of its many forms, the more power you actually have. Alright, we've been kind to power so far. We've said it can be creative, protective, maybe even liberating. But now we need to talk about the part nobody wants to admit. The part where power gets weird and messy and quietly toxic. Because sometimes people don't just want power to feel safe or to express themselves. They want it because they like what it does to other people. Let's start with Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power, aka the unofficial guidebook for aspiring Bond villains. It's full of stuff like crush your enemy totally, always say less than necessary, court attention at all costs. It's basically Machiavelli meets Instagram. But here's the thing, the book's not exactly wrong, it's just unsettling honest. Green isn't telling you how the world should work. He's telling you how it does, in boardrooms, politics, even friendships. And it works because in real life power rewards a certain kind of behavior. Not necessarily the kind we admire, but the kind that wins. Jeffrey Pfeffer, a Stanford professor who studies power in organizations, found that things like competence and ethics aren't great predictors of who rises to the top. Instead, it's visibility, confidence, aggression, and being willing to play dirty when necessary. So yeah, maybe your boss isn't better. They're just better at playing the game, but here is where it gets even darker. According to psychologist Dacher Keltner, once people get power, they actually start to change. He found that power literally rewires our brains. It decreases empathy, increases impulsivity, and makes us more likely to treat others like tools rather than people. One study even showed that people in positions of power were more likely to eat with their mouths open, like basic manners just vanished. So let's recap. Power is often gained through charm and strategy. It's often retained through control and manipulation. And then it starts to change the person who holds it. It's like a moral inversion machine. You step in as one person and come out with less empathy, worse stable manners, and a growing suspicion that everyone is out to get you. So after everything we've seen, the manipulation, the brain changes, the open-mouthed cookie crimes, it's fair to ask, is power always a trap? Is it just one long slide into self-importance, detachment, and chewing with your mouth open in public? Or is there another way? Here is the thing, power doesn't have to corrupt. Sometimes it can reveal, not who you are, but who you've become. Psychologist Dacher Kellner, who showed us how power can rot your manners, also believes that power can be redeemed. In his book The Power Paradox, he says power isn't about force. It's about making others feel safe and seen. In fact, Keltner found that the people who are most admired as leaders aren't the loudest or the most dominant. They are the ones who elevate others, the ones who create space instead of taking it, the ones who don't just win, they lift. He calls this power with, not power over. And when it works, it doesn't just help the leader, it strengthens the whole group. It also aligns with Maslow's idea of self-actualization, the final tier of the pyramid, where you are not just surviving or achieving, but becoming. At that level, power isn't about status, it's about impact. Not what can I get, but what can I build and who can I empower. Which, let's be honest, sounds lovely, but also kind of like a TED talk from someone who owns 6 homes and calls them retreats. Still, some people actually do this. People who walk away from titles to mentor others, the leaders who decentralize control, creators who teach instead of gatekeeping. That's the thing about power. Sometimes the best power move is to give it away. And maybe that's the test. Not whether you have power, but whether you can hold it without letting it hollow you out. Whether you can use it without needing to own it. Power isn't just out there in governments, tech companies, or the hands of people who call themselves thought leaders on LinkedIn. It's quieter than that, closer. It's in how you speak, how you listen. It's in who you interrupt and who you believe without asking for proof. It's easy to think power is something you fight for, but sometimes it's just something you notice, like when someone pauses while speaking and you wait instead of jumping in, or when you're in a room and you make space for someone who usually gets talked over. That's power too, but it's harder because it doesn't feel like winning. So that's it for today. If you feel like it, go like this video and tell me what are your thoughts on it in the comments below. See you in the next one.